Hey guys, what's up? It's Scatter. I'm a gladiator and wanted to welcome you guys to my PvP guide series where we cover the fundamentals of your spec so you can quickly hop into PvP in under 10 minutes. Today we'll be going over the Shadow Priest. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I will be releasing guides in the future on other classes, as well as any outdated information. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss out on any important updates. There will be links in the description below so you can quickly navigate this video, and also have some macros in the description as well if you'd like to copy and paste them. Now let's go ahead and hop into the video. For the Alliance, your best race is going to be Human. This is due to their racial will to survive. This ability lets you get out of stuns once every 3 minutes. This gives you the option to run the Relentless Trinkets or 2 DPS Trinkets for more damage. For the Horde, you have a few options in terms of race, with Undead being one of the strongest. The racial will of the Forsaken will get you out of any charm, fear, or sleep effects on a 2-minute cooldown. This could be great if you need to get out of fear to life swap someone or to stop CC. Do be aware though that this does share a 30-second cooldown with the Gladiator's Medallion Trinket. For both the Alliance and the Horde, a strong alternative is the Pandoran. The Racial Quaking Palm will incapacitate a target for 4 seconds. This is great as it doesn't DR with any of your abilities. It can give you a little bit of extra CC to help you win those close games. And also, the Racial Epicurean gives you 100% increased stat gain from the well-fed food buff. If you have versatility food, this combined with the 2-piece set bonus that your PvP trinkets offer you, you can gain a decent amount of versatility. And lastly, for your main stats, you'll be wanting versatility and haste, or haste and versatility depending on your preference. Prioritizing versatility will make you tankier and do more damage, and prioritizing haste will make you cast faster, as well as make your globals shorter. Starting things off with talents, in the level 15 row we're going to be picking Unfurling Darkness. This makes it so that after you cast Vampiric Touch, you can cast another one for free within 8 seconds. And this one is instant and will deal some extra damage. This is a great talent for letting us get dots up on multiple targets. In the level 25 row, we're going to go with Intangibility. This reduces the cooldown of our biggest defensive ability, Dispersion, and also causes it to heal us for 50% of our maximum health. This talent alone gives us a ton of survivability. For the 30 row, we're going to pick Misery. This makes it so that our Vampiric Touch also applies Shadow Word Pain. This has great synergy with the Unfurling Darkness talent mentioned earlier, since we don't have to spend as many globals to keep our dots up. In the level 35 row, each of these options is viable and has its own specific use. Last Word reduces the cooldown of our silence by 15 seconds. Pick this if you're playing with a class that has a lot of stuns, like a sub-rogue, and can benefit more from having the reduced cooldown on silence. Mind Bomb will replace your Psychic Scream, and after 2 seconds, it will explode, disorienting all enemies within 8 yards of the target for 6 seconds. Take this if you're not going to be able to reach the target in order to land your fear. And lastly, we have Psychic Horror. This ability will stun a target in place for 4 seconds, and is what you'll use in most circumstances if you don't need the other 2 options that we just mentioned. For the 40 row, we have 2 options, Auspicious Spirits and Shadow Crash. Auspicious Spirits will simply cause our shadowy apparitions to deal more damage and generate more sanity. And Shadow Crash is a very strong instant cast ability that will do a lot of damage and generate insanity as well. Take Auspicious Spirits if you're wanting to do AoE damage, and if you're playing a burst comp like RPS where you kill in setups and need a lot of single target damage, then pick Shadow Crash. We have 2 options here in the 45 row as well, Damnation and Void Torrent. Damnation will instantly apply all your dots on a 45-second cooldown, and Void Torrent will do a massive amount of single target damage over 3 seconds, and generate you some insanity as well. Damnation is going to be your go-to in most circumstances as it has synergy with the Misery and Unfurling Darkness talents. This ability makes swapping very easy, and keeping your dots up easier as well. Void Torrent combined with Shadow Crash could be used in comps like RPS, as this will give you an incredible amount of single target burst damage. Do keep in mind though that Void Torrent can be interrupted. And in the 50 row, we once again have 2 options, Ancient Madness and Hungering Void. Ancient Madness will give us 30% crits, decaying over 15 seconds, and Hungering Void will cause our Void Bolt to make the target take increased damage from us and extend the duration of our Void form. Pick Ancient Madness for spread damage, and Hungering Void for single target damage. There's 2 builds I recommend running, and I'll put them here on screen. The first is a spread pressure build, and the second is a single target burst build. In most circumstances, you'll be picking the spread pressure build as it's the most consistent, but the single target build could be used when you're playing certain comps. For your PvP talents, you'll have 2 that you run by default, and then you'll have a few choices you can pick for your 3rd PvP talent slot, depending on the situation. Your 2 default PvP talents that you'll want to run are Greater Fade and Void Shift. Greater Fade will give you immunity to melee and range spells for 4 seconds, and also give you a 50% movement speed increase. This ability is extremely strong as you can use it to immune stuns like Kidney Shot, or high damaging abilities like Chaos Bolt or Aim Shot. Do note that even though you are immune to spells and attacks, you can still be kicked if you start casting an ability. Your next default pick is going to be Void Shift, and this will swap you and an ally's health percentages. If one of you is below 25% health, it will be raised to 25%. This talent is insanely strong, and you'll want to use this to either save your life or a teammate's. Moving on to your situational PvP talents. First we have Lasting Plague. This increases the duration of Devouring Plague by 6 seconds. The longer duration does mean that it will be doing more damage as well. Pick this talent if you're wanting damage. Next we have Thought Steal. This insanely strong ability is on a 1.5 minute cooldown and will steal a spell from an enemy for 20 seconds. Whenever you steal a spell from someone, they are not able to use it, but you can. There's many spells you can take, but you will only really want to run this against major warlock teams, as it will steal their polymorph and fear. This will allow you to use those abilities for 20 seconds, and the major warlock will not be able to cast them. This is very strong both offensively as well as defensively. Take this talent against major warlock teams. If you don't need Thought Steal and the enemy team has a Dispel for your Devouring Plague, you can run either Siphoned or Driven to Madness for your third PvP talent slot. Siphon can be good offensively, as it will drain and slow the target, but most importantly, it will reduce their healing received by 50%. Siphon does only have 10 health though, so it can be one shot. And Driven to Madness can be good if you're getting trained, as it will reduce the cooldown of Void Eruption by 3 seconds every time you're attacked. Unfortunately for Shadow Priest, we have few options to choose from in terms of legendaries. In most circumstances, you'll want to run Sephu's Proclamation. This will give us a small reduction to crowd control, and after we CC an enemy, interrupt, or dispel them, we will have all of our secondary stats increased by 80 for 15 seconds. This can only occur once every 30 seconds, but we can have a high uptime on the buff due to our Dispel Magic ability. For a more offensive option, you can run Twins of the Sun Priestess. This will grant you 100% of the effects of Power Infusion when you use it on an ally. This can be great as it allows you and an ally to burst even harder, but do be aware that against teams with a Purge, this loses a lot of value. Your best Covenant for PvP is going to be the Venthyr. The Venthyr offer the Mind Games ability, which does some initial damage and then causes any damage that the enemy does to heal, and any healing they do to cause damage. Reverse damage and healing will also generate sanity. This is insanely powerful. If you use this while the enemy is bursting, it will cause them to heal you, and can be a great defensive ability. The Venthyr will also provide you with the signature ability Door of Shadows, which will give you a teleport on a 1 minute cooldown. This can be useful for teleporting to an enemy and then fearing them. For your Soulbind, I'm going to recommend picking Nausea the Mistblade and taking this path. This will provide us access to the Agents of Chaos passive. This passive causes your Door of Shadows to disorient all enemies at the target location when you appear. This can be great for peeling or setting up a CC chain, but do be mindful of the diminishing returns it has with other CC. And with this path, we will also receive the Familiar Predicaments passive. This reduces the duration of interrupts, snares, and roots by 25%. Reduced duration on interrupts is huge, as it will let us freecast more, so getting kicked will not be as punishing. For your Finesse Conduit, go with Clear Mind. At max rank, this will reduce the mana cost of Dispel Magic, Purify, and Mass Dispel by 48%. This lets you spam a lot more dispels, and can be very strong if you're trying to purge something important off, or remove hots from a class like a Resto Druid. And for your Endurance Conduit, pick Light's Inspiration, as this will give us an extra bit of healing from our Disparate Prayer ability. Moving on to your Potency Conduits, by default you will always want the Shattered Perceptions Conduit. This makes your already strong Mind Games ability even stronger by increasing its duration, its initial damage, and increases the amount of damage or healing reversed. For your second potency slot, we have two options here, and it will most likely depend on your comp, playstyle, and what goal you're trying to accomplish. Our first choice is Mind Devourer. This makes Mind Blast deal more damage and have a 10% chance to give us a free Devouring Plague. This will give us some nice RNG burst opportunities. Your other option is Haunting Apparitions. At max rank, this currently provides a 74.4% damage increase to our shadowy apparitions. This pairs very nicely with the Auspicious Spirits talent mentioned earlier, giving us a lot of consistent damage. This could be good if you're playing a rot comp like Shadowplay, or if you're doing BGs. Let's go ahead and move on to your general rotation and priorities. First, I do want to mention that in the majority of cases, you'll be wanting to save your burst cooldowns, such as Void Eruption, Power Infusion, Shadow Fiend, and if you opted into them, Void Torrent and Shadow Crash for when you have CC. Before you start bursting, you want to make sure you have all your dots already on the target and have Insanity for Devouring Plague. Outside of your burst, your priorities will look something like this. Keep your dots up on the target, Shadow Word Death targets below 20% health, Mind Blast off cooldown to generate Insanity, Devouring Plague to spend Insanity, Mind Flay as filler and to generate Insanity. As a Shadow Priest, you are more than just damage. You have an overloaded support kit, and it's your job to make sure that your team stays alive. Here's some quick tips. Your Leap of Faith can be used to grip your healer out of line of sight so they can avoid CC. You can also grip your healer into an AoE ability like Meteor from a Fire Mage to break them out of CC. Make sure you use Leap of Faith to help your ally if they're getting trained and need to gain distance. Next we have Mass Dispel. Mass Dispel can be used to dispel things like Ice Block and Divine Shield. Also make sure you use it to get your healer out of CCs like Polymorphs, Fears, Traps, etc. And if you get kicked when casting Mass Dispel, Mind Control is on a different school of magic, so you can spam Mind Control on the enemy to stop them from using any follow-up CC. Make sure you're abusing the fact that these are on different lockouts. And that's going to wrap it up for our 10-minute PvP guide. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. And if you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask me in the comments below, or follow and message me on Twitter at ScatteredWow, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. If you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a Patreon. Even donations as small as $1 greatly help the channel out. And if you're interested in some of the other rewards that we offer our patrons, I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check that out. But that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.